Mo, you cool? You ready? Pick up 1, 2, 3. Pick up 1, 2, 3. Welcome. Hey, 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 hey. Timbaland's in the building. Welcome. Beaterator, Beaterator. Beaterator. Check it. Welcome. There are 3 parts to Beaterator. Live play. Studio session. Welcome. Song crafter. Welcome. Live play gets you up and playing quickly, using ready-made loops played kinda by me, kinda by you. Welcome. From here you can press R to change styles. Record and play back your song. Check it out. Welcome. In the studio session, you can choose to edit, remove, or play each loop. A loop is a short clip of music that is usually played over and over, like a melody, a drum pattern, or a bass line. Something like that. Welcome. You can also make your own loops using the studio or Song Crafter. Welcome. Song Crafter allows you to work with more control by moving loops into sequence. You got it? Yeah, you like that, don't you? Welcome. The studio button display shows you exactly what each button does. Welcome. Press the R button to enter Beaterator menu at any time. Have fun, huh? Have fun, baby. Have fun, huh? So welcome to my world. Timbaland, Thomas Crown, the new generation of music. Welcome. All right.
This is what a song looks like laid out in the Song Crafter. The colored blocks arranged on the grid are loops. When played in order, these loops make up a song. Press the start button to start or stop playback of your song. Playback will begin from wherever the cursor is. The yellow playhead shows you which part of the song you're currently hearing. You can rewind or fast forward while your song is playing by moving the analog stick left or right. You can alter the knobs and buttons by jumping the cursor down to them using the analog stick. Simply move the analog stick downwards to jump down to the knobs and buttons, and move the analog stick upwards to jump back up to the editing grid. Let's take a look at placing down loops to make a song in a Song Crafter. Move the cursor around the grid using the directional buttons. As the button displays show you, pressing the X button will place a loop down, and pressing the square button will delete a loop that's been placed down. Each track has its own currently selected loop. You can see the names of these on the left-hand side of the grid. As you move to different tracks, pressing the X button will place down whichever loop is currently selected on that track. It's possible to have more than one loop assigned to each track, and all of the song templates have multiple variations of similar loops on each of their tracks. You use the Loops menu to access these extra loops. Press the triangle button to show the Loops menu, then highlight the loop you want to select. To help find the loop you want, listen to the highlighted loop by pressing the triangle button. When you've highlighted the loop you want to select, press the X button and choose the Select option. The far left of the menu is the New Loop column. In here you'll find all the options for loading and creating new loops. You can load up Timbaland loops. You can create new drum loops or load up ready-made drum loops. Load up melody loops or create new ones using sounds or synth patches. Or play with audio loops. Beaterator has a visualizer which you can watch when playing a song. You can access this from the Song Crafters menu. Press the R button and select Visualizer from the Miscellaneous column. Press the circle button to return to the Song Crafter. Help is always available from the menu. Just press the R button and choose Help. Studio Session gives you a really simple way to create songs in a totally live environment. In studio session, you're presented with the row of tabs that represent the 8 tracks of the song. Each tab could contain up to 4 loops which are associated with each action button. Select the tabs using the left and right buttons. Press the appropriate action button to cue up a loop to start playing, and press it again to cue it to stop. To switch from one loop to another in the same tab, just cue up the new loop with the appropriate action button. The tab on the far right, marked M, lets you cue up loops on all tracks to start by pressing any action button. Pressing the start button will stop all loops playing. You can record your performance too. Simply open the menu by pressing the R button and select Record Your Performance. This will record your song ready to be played back or edited in the Song Crafter. Just press the Select button to flip back to the Song Crafter. In the Drum Crafter, you can have up to 8 drum tracks with a different sound on each track. You can see one bar of your loop at a time. Each bar is split up into 4 beats, and each beat is further subdivided into 4 steps, 1/16 of a bar long. You make the sounds play by placing triggers on the tracks using the X button. Let's trigger the kick drum on each beat and see what that sounds like. And now we'll add a snare on every other beat. You can place down triggers even while your loop is playing. Press the start button to start and stop playback. Experiment with placements of triggers to create drum patterns. The Drum Crafter has a second mode that is based around live performance. This mode is called Drum Pad mode. Switch between modes using the Select button. When you're in Drum Pad mode, the labels on the left-hand side of the grid will change to have action and directional button icons next to them. The action and directional button icons show you which action and directional button to press in order to play that sound, like on a drum pad. Choose Drum Pad mode Rehearse if you just want to rehearse and check out the sounds you can make. Choose Drum Pad mode Record to record your beats into your loop. When you've placed triggers down, you can adjust their individual volumes by holding down the X button and pressing the up or down button. You can even play with the swing setting to shuffle some of the beats around to give a different feel to the rhythm. Try it out! You make tunes in a Melody Crafter by laying down triggers on notes using the X button. Beaterator has a 5-octave virtual keyboard for you to play with. Move up and down it using the directional buttons. You can adjust the sustain for a trigger. This governs how long the trigger sounds for. Keep the X button held down when you're laying down the trigger. Then press the left and right buttons to adjust the length. While you have the X button held down, you can also make the trigger slide up and down to other notes by pressing the up and down buttons. You can even place down triggers while your loop is playing. Press the Start button to start and stop playback. Hold down the X button to lay down triggers with long and sustains. When you've placed triggers down, you can adjust the individual volumes by holding down the X button and pressing the up or down buttons. When you're making a loop using sounds, the Melody Crafter has a second mode that is based around live performance. This mode is called Chord Pad mode. Switch between modes using the Select button. When you're in Chord Pad mode, the button display changes to show 4 different chords on the action buttons and the delete function on the L button. Now when you press an action button, you'll make a chord sound instead of a single note. Choose Chord Pad mode Rehearse if you just want to rehearse and check out the chords. Choose Chord Pad mode Record to record your chords into your loop. When you spend some time using Chord Pad mode, check out the chord picker screen. This screen allows you to choose which 4 chords you get to play with. Find the chord picker screen in the menu in the Quick column under the Chord Pad mode option. Unlike sounds, synth patches are monophonic. This means you cannot use Chord Pad mode. You can edit the synth patch by pressing the triangle button or by selecting Edit Synth Patch from the Synth Tools column of the menu. This takes you to the Synth Editor screen. Here you'll find lots of controls that govern the sound the synth makes. Take a look at the Synth Editor tutorial video to learn more. First, you should select the region of the sound you want to alter. Press the left and right buttons to move the start marker. You can switch between moving the start marker and the end marker by pressing the square button. So to move the end marker, now you will press the square button and then press the left and right buttons to move. To help you fine-tune the markers, you can also zoom in or out using the analog stick. Press the start button to hear the selected region play. It'll keep on playing, looping around until you press the start button again. You can keep on moving the start and end markers even while the sound is playing. To the left of the display is the carousel. This contains various editing commands such as trim and fade. You press the up and down buttons to select the command you want. Then press the X button to apply that command to the region you've selected. Here's an example. We've just recorded a new sound and there's a load of junk at the start and end of the recording. We just want to keep the middle section. All we have to do is move the markers until we have just the part we want to keep highlighted. Then select trim from the carousel, then press the X button to apply the trim command. The other commands work the same way. Just select the region you want to change, select the command you want from the carousel, then press the X button to apply the command. Take a look at the tooltips to get a better idea of what each command does. You've just moved the analog stick downwards to jump the cursor down from the editing screen to the knobs and buttons area. Here you can use the track controls to alter the per track settings for volume, mute, solo, and pan. Or use the master controls to alter global settings for BPM, swing, and master volume. Press the left and right buttons to change which knob or button is selected. If you're in a song crafter or drum crafter, pressing the up and down buttons will change which track is currently selected, allowing you to quickly and simply alter per track settings. You can adjust knobs by selecting the knob you want to change and then press and hold the X button. While the X button is held down, you can use the directional buttons to spin the knob clockwise or counterclockwise. Alternatively, you can use the analog stick to point directly to where you want the knob to spin to. You can toggle mute and solo on or off by selecting a button and then pressing the X button. You can also press the square button to turn off all solos or mutes. Return to the grid by moving the analog stick upwards. This is the effects editor. Here you can add and edit effects for your song tracks, and you can keyframe them so that they change over time. You can move around between the selectors and knobs by pressing the up and down buttons. Pressing the left or right buttons or moving left or right on the analog stick will move the playhead position. To alter a selector, highlight it, hold down the X button, and press the left and right buttons to alter the selector's setting. Release the X button when you're done. Use the first selector to choose which settings you want to change. You can change master settings that affect the whole song and track settings that affect just the currently highlighted track. There are 2 FX slots per track which allow you to add 2 extra effects to each track in your song. The second selector lets you choose an effect for this slot. The master slot contains a master volume and settings for a master reverb effect you can add to the song. The track slot contains the track volume, pan, and reverb send settings. Reverb send affects how much the current track is affected by the master reverb. For each of the 2 FX slots on each track, the second selector lets you choose from a variety of effects, or you could turn the effects off by selecting no effect. Press the triangle button to toggle between adjusting knob values all the way along the song, or to edit individual keyframes where the playhead is. Editing individual keyframes means that you can make any of the parameters of an effect change over time as the song plays. You can delete any keyframes that you've created by pressing the square button. See the reference section of the help menu or the tooltips area for more details. The synth editor is used to create unique sounds for your melodies. Some of the knobs might be grayed out, meaning that they won't have any effect on the sound, but these become activated when other knobs are adjusted. The synth has 3 oscillators, which produce the initial noises. For each oscillator, you can adjust the waveform, the pitch of each oscillator using the semitone and detune knobs, and how loud each oscillator is with the level knobs. The filter shapes the character of the sound. You can choose from different filter shapes, Adjust the cutoff frequency and the resonance, which can have a big impact on the sound. The tracking knob adjusts how much the filter cutoff changes depending on which note is being played in the melody loop. Envelopes shape how the sound changes over time. You can set the attack time, the decay time, the sustain level, and the release time of the amplitude envelope to go from short, punchy sounds to long, sweeping ones. The modulation envelope works in the same way as the amplitude envelope, but instead of controlling volume, it can control other parameters of the sound. The LFOs, low-frequency oscillators, can also be used for this. The LFOs have control for their waveform shape and speed, and an option to lock their speed to the tempo of the song. When you set up your modulation sources, use the modulation panel to wire them into other parts of the synth. Simply pick a modulation source by pressing the X button over the top selector and pressing the left or right buttons. Pick a modulation destination with the other selector and adjust the knob to set how much modulation to apply. You can wire up any combination of modulation sources and destinations. As a finishing touch, you can add some white noise to the mix. Adjust the glide knob, which affects how quickly the oscillators reach the desired pitch of your melody. The best thing to do is experiment. If in doubt, you can check the tooltip area or the synth editor section of the help reference guide.